What's up, guys? WhoNeedsMeta here with Cadigan, who took Ojama Cat. I can't even get through the intro. You're laughing. Took Ojama Cat to locals and went 3-0. And I was like, let's just profile this because this is just really bad but really good at the same time.
Yeah, this is one of those, hey guys, you want to change a pace kind of decks. I mean, just disclosure up front, this deck gets eaten by deck div. But as long as you don't care about that card or aren't scared by it, deck's a lot of fun. It's basically a cat combo deck, but this is like the centralizing engine. So Ojama Blue, when it's destroyed by battle, you can search 2 Ojama cards from deck to hand. So it's kind
Itself.
You can search itself, and the only other target you run is 2 Ojama Country in my list. But the full pool of targets is like Ojama Red, and then all the vanillas. You can search Ojama Magic, Delta Hurricane. You can search Ojama Trio if you're trying to be that guy. But this is like the whole Ojama package here as far as this deck is concerned. This card actually has like a lot of kind of cute synergies. Level 2 Beast. It's light, 0 attack. I even had like a Vasky build at one point, but that's not what this is. That's a separate thing.
Bro, obedience school? Freaking?
I wish, dude. So this is the main engine of the deck. I'll bring the field spell back out later. I just wanted you to see that the whole package is just 5 cards.
And why those 5 cards?
And why those 5 cards we'll get into. But 5 cards is a pretty good number. So what else gets you into your Ojama Blue and what works with it? Well, it's a beast, right? So you can get it off of Cat. You normally don't want to get 2 off of Cat, but you can get at least 1 off of Cat and then do shenanigans with the field spell. You know what? I'm just going to talk about the field spell now because I just said that. So field spell has 2 actually pretty decent effects. One, you can discard 1 Ojama card from your hand to target 1. Actually, I don't even think it targets. I don't think it targets the card in the graveyard. Yeah, it doesn't target. So discard an Ojama card, special summon 1 Ojama monster from your graveyard. So it can be a revival card. And while you control an Ojama, all the attack and defense of all monsters on the field are flip-flopped. So it's kind of like a goofy inverse universe on a field spell. Causes some wonky interactions. But bringing Ojamas out early means that you can recur them later with a field spell. Also, you're running the Cat package to do synchro shenanigans. You can just make a 5 with Airbellum and Blue, and then you can revive this later potentially. But just general Cat stuff. You have the 1 of Monk to just get the Cat with. I don't run Sangan. It's normally the Trinity with Cat. It's Cat, Sangan, and Monk. This deck is already slow enough. You already have 3-0-1000 dummies in your deck. You don't need another set. And Monk is the more aggressive of the 2 searchers, so that's why I chose it. Also, Ojama Blue searches a spell card, which you can then pitch with Monk. So it works a little better, in my opinion. You are also going to run Rykos because you're running triple Hamster. Hamster can search Ojama Blue. It can also search the Ryko. It can also search the Airbellum. So Hamster is a real toolbox in this deck. You can search your Recruiter to get value. Just get into Ryko to pop something. And then just because this is a Hamster Ryko Caius deck, in addition to being a Cat deck, you run triple of Caius as well. The field spell can help bring out tribute fodder for it if you need to. Your triple hamsters will get you there. This deck has plenty of ways to give you tribute fodder for the guy, and he's just the guy.
Instant fusion.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there, but yes, there's even more cards to get it out. Because you're running a bunch of level 2s, 2 Junk Synchron. I wish we had frickin' oh my god, what's the 5 that you make in Tengu with it?
Oh, Frozen Fitzgerald?
Yeah, I wish we had Frozen Fitzgerald this
That card rules.
That card is both good and works really well under Ojama Country because it's 25.
25, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of goofy. But, I mean, this still gets you into Android or Catastrophe late game for free, basically. It's a good card. Or, if you have Ojama Knight on the field from Instant Fusion, I'm just going to talk about it again, even though I haven't shown it. It's pretty good. But we also run 2 Cyber Dragons, so you can make 8s pretty easy. I mean, if you have Cyber Dragon, Junk Synchron into Ojama Blue, and then make an 8 and just leave Ojama Blue on the field, it's like mega value city right there. Cyber Dragon's in here both for the Cat and the level 3 tuner package, and just so you have like an aggressive summon that isn't a weenie hut. So you can maybe do something aggressive or not completely passive all the time. that's pretty much the logic behind it. If you get deck dev for your entire wallet, at least you have that left behind. You run a bunch of light and darks, so this deck actually plays Chaos Sorcerer really well. And then Trag is really good because this deck
Ojama Blue pluses.
Yeah, I've straight up just rammed Ojama Blue, added 2, drop Trag, and then it's even bigger than it was all the time. It's one of the few decks I like Tragging in this format. I do run Gores at the moment, despite running 2 field spells. It hasn't been that cloggy yet. It's like decks that run Gores, even when they're running Decree or Oppression, half the time they have to get rid of Country because it's annoying. So I think it's still worth it. You can cut it if you want for consistency. All right, that is monsters. I think that's 22.
23, something like that. I don't remember.
22,
23, yeah.
Somewhere between 22 and 24.
One of the numbers of all time.
So we're back to the countries, and we've mentioned it a few times now. Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion summons good things like Ojama Knight. It's a level 5. You can recur it with Ojama Country after you Instant Fusion it because Instant Fusion properly summons it. So you can, at any time after you see this card, just recur a 2500 beater that is probably clearing everything that's not a Colossal Fighter on your opponent's side of the field. Pretty neat interaction, but this also just works to make 8s with the cat package. You also run like a single Dark Flare Dragon, but I'll get into that when we get to the extra deck. This also is tribute fodder for Caius, just good support card. We also play a variety of Yoink cards. We run Cat, we run 5 tuners that are all pretty searchable, so these are no-brainers. Creature Swap is really fun with Ojama Blue. Just give them a 0 attack weenie and beat over it, and you get 2 cards out of it. Feels pretty good.
And you essentially play 5 copies with the 2 junks. You can just junk back, give it to them, and then make a thing, kill. Yeah. You
have a lot of ways to abuse this card. Not enough for me to want to run more than 1. I used to be on 2, but it's a little too inconsistent. I think 1 is the perfect number. You could drop it if you want to play something else, but I enjoy having the option. We are going through a lot of cards quickly. Cat goes through a lot of cards. Hamster Raikou goes through a lot of cards. Ojama Blue goes through a lot of cards. So you have a lot of ways to fuel avarice and even get value out of it. You say you Ojama Blue into 2 cards, you use those, and then your next Ojama Blues maybe have 1 search left. You can put them back. You put Cat back. Not explanatory, but good card is good. It's very live in this deck. And then we have the back row clears. Doing this like a scrub. Got to show the first editions on David's cards.
Oh my god.
You could run Cold Wave, but personally I like being able to use Ojama Country whenever I want, so I don't run it. So I think Heavy Trunade MST is the way to go. I side some more back row hate if needed. But
is there a particular reason you go with the Trunade, or?
I was on trap stuns at one point or another to help with the main deck dev trend that's going on right now. In general, I just think Trunade's more... You can just activate Trunade, right? You don't have to set Trunade.
I just didn't know if the deck was I can't grind through back row kind of thing.
Sometimes you do want to go off Instant Fusion Cat, or Cyber Dragon Instant Fusion. Sometimes you can do explosive plays, so having that option is good. But if you want to, that's probably a flex slot. This deck is very trap-lean. It's only on 5 at the moment. Dust Shoot, Mirror Force, Double Bottomless, and Torrential. You could, if you really wanted to, cut, these for Decrees if you really wanted to, or something. Personally, I like having functional traps as a backbone. This deck has a lot of sticky boards with Hamster and Raikous and whatnot, as well as Goer's Trag, so you don't necessarily need a ton. But it feels good. This could probably be modulated to your personal preference. Maybe you could put some compulses in, but I like having at least a little bit of a defensive backbone. That's the main deck. That was 40 cards. Nothing too crazy in the extra deck. We have the 5s that you can go into off of Cat and or Junk. Junk. You have 6s just because you have 3 Yoink cards and can technically make them, but you actually don't make them very easily. All your tuners are level 3, and every other monster in your deck is basically level 2 or 4. 7s you make plenty of. You have Black Rose, you have Ancient Fairy because you actually do have field spells. Also, you just have the room. Urbellum because it's kind of annoying sometimes. And since you're running Junk, you can run Junk Archer. I don't think Junk Warrior is worth it for the 5 spot. You could run it if you just want another non-Catastor Dark, but at that point, just run a second Catastor, in my opinion. This deck doesn't really...
But you can make the guy big with the with other guys.
If you have the field spell up, you can, but you also have to remember that
Junk Warrior and field spell.
Its attack and defense will be flip first, so then it'll gain attack, but then when that field spell leaves, it'll be really lopsided. So I think this is a good compromise. I had Z-Man in here at one point.
Yo!
And it was basically between Archer and Z-Man, and between the two, I think Archer is the more consistent card. Gets more done more often than not, but it's a flex spot.
Don't hate on our boy Z-Man.
No, you can't hate on Z-Man. 8s you can make pretty easily with the 5s between Cyber Dragon and Instant Fusion, as well as your synchros. But you're playing Stardust, Thought Ruler, and Colossal, and then you can make this pretty easily. I mean, Hamster resolving into Raikou, and then just normal summon Airbellum or Junk.
I mean, would you play like Red Dragon or something?
You could. I don't really think this deck has a problem getting through sticky boards. How does this deck get through Spirit Reaper? It might be worth considering. You could probably swap out Thought Ruler or something for it.
I would say, or the Archer if you
if
you don't like it. Yeah,
I would keep Mistworm in there though. You make it.
Mistworm's good.
You can make it pretty consistently, but yeah, Red Dragon might be a consideration. But that's it for the Synchro lineup.
I want to know how many decks just crumble this set Marshmallow and pass.
Probably more than you'd like. Blackwing's pierce through it. Vayu kind of struggles with it a little bit.
Any of the Raikous, yeah.
Yeah. These are your instant fusion targets. You're normally going into this so you can recur it off of your field spell later, but sometimes you just need to make Black Rose or something else. The fact this being light is also relevant for Sork. This being dark is relevant for the same reason.
You thought about Dark Arm? Do you have enough darks for Dark Arm?
You do, but you don't really search your darks very well. And since you're running main deck Cyber Dragons, you run one Chimera deck. I've thought about that. I've even thought about Allure. You're at 8 darks, I think. But I don't think it's consistent.
You're playing Ojamas. That's not your worry, my guy.
You're not wrong. Most of this is pretty generic side deck stuff. 2 Crows because Crow good. 2 Kaiku because Kaiku good. It's also a beater. And a lot of matchups, I will side out like some ratio of hamsters just for these. Maybe even like a Raikou potentially, depending on what you're going up against. Just to have a beater, even if it's not actually good into the matchup, you just need to have some kind of aggression. Because you can't lose by just being too passive. And this deck supports tributes really well. Runs Instant Fusion, runs the Field Spell, runs Hamster. So I prefer Vanities over Fossil Dyna. That's it for the monsters. And again, this is tailored to my locals. It's kind of subjective. Vortex, you need a way to counter wide boards. You're really good at picking apart individual threats, but sometimes you struggle with opponents that went really wide. Vortex helps. Duplock, Amaryllis, Titanial, Bullcrap. Good card. Good. Traps. Lots of back row hate in this deck to push through. You're good at handling monsters, not so much spells and traps. So Dust Tornado and Trap Stun. These could be decrees if you want, but I want cards to hit things that are already active, like Oppression, as well as cards that you can't just Dust Shoot on activation, like Deck Dev. That's what this is for, and then this is for like Blackwings, or God forbid, some kind of defissure deck like Glad Beasts or Six Samurais. I feel like you need coverage for both options. Just for more defense against something like Glad Beasts, because they're picking up in popularity, and that deck will eat you alive if you're not ready for it. 2 Deep Prisons to swap out for like Mind Con, because you're not doing a whole lot with it in that matchup. And then Bowling the Rugs for Frogs. That's it. It's a lot of fun.
What about that other option that we had?
This scooters into a lot, and if you want to take it in a spicier direction, I think it hurts consistency but raises your ceiling. You could opt for Gear Town. You could opt for that engine with some terraformings, perhaps, because you have a way to search Ojama Country, which is a field spell. You have a way to search ways to pop your own Gear Town. You can run Black Garden since you're running the cat package. It gets back Monk and Airbellum. Not to mention, you could also just run Reaper for an instant fusion target to further enhance synergy here. It's not my preferred direction at the moment, but I think it could be equally viable if you want to take this deck but give it a more aggressive spin.
Kind of an Ojama spin on the Garden Cat deck.
Yeah, I think it hurts your consistency a bit, but you can definitely put out more damage and handle more aggression.
Because that deck already plays instant fusions and things like that. So you're already on all of those cards. If you put in like a small Ojama package into that deck, maybe you could do something with it. It was like just one of those shower thoughts kind of ideas.
I don't think it's bad. The deck has field spell synergy already. Slap in some terraformings in at least these, and you could do something. And I don't think that would be a bad inclusion. It's not the direction I went. I'd love to see someone take it that way. But overall, it's just kind of a value-centric deck, focusing on this little guy. The field spell is really annoying for some decks, especially like Black Wings. This card messes up their whirlwinds. All of them. It basically reduces all of them to the point that they either can't search anything or it's just value because they have pitiful defense values. It just puts in a lot of work. The only deck it kind of backfires on you sometimes is against frogs, typically, because that'll turn their 2K butts into 2K.
Yeah, just get in there.
Yeah. So
you got to play it and then start picking like immediately.
Yeah. But you do have to remember this is only while an Ojama's on the field, not effect is active. So like once they hit over it, things flip back.
Yeah.
So it's fun. The deck has a lot of flexibility. It toolboxes itself pretty well. Had a good time with it, and I hope someone takes inspiration and has some fun with it too.
Thanks for watching, guys.